Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya De Satarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam Pangum langhayate girim Yatkripa tamaham bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Shri Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Mishwaram. Hare Krishna. So since last class we had some training sessions for preaching purposes. Today we will do a little bit of revision just to ensure that all of you have not forgotten the subject matter where we are standing right now. So we were discussing about Madhurya Kadambini and the stages of unsteady devotional service, anisthita bhajana kriya. So just to help all of you understand, I was just thinking to tell to all of you that how these stages are progressive, and it is progressive from purity to priority to purpose. That we will be discussing a little bit for 5 minutes in the beginning today. In the beginning of the Anisthita Bhajana Kriya, as you saw, there are the two stages, yes, the stages of Uschahamayi and Ghana Tarala. So, and third one is Vyudha Vikalpa. These three stages are the stages where a practitioner is struggling for external purity, trying to make his Krishna consciousness more pure, because he is struggling with his external attachments to sense objects. He is not able to control his senses in trying to follow the principles. But after some time, he is now getting empowered by the practice of bhakti, and now he is able to practice in a way, more pure way, and now the external senses are not troubling so much. And then an internal struggle starts, which is called the Vishaya Sangar, as all of you know. So the next two stages of Vishaya Sangar and Niyama Akshama, they are a stage of internal struggle. In the beginning, there is external struggle for purity, and then there is internal struggle of maintaining the priorities of Krishna consciousness. Like sometimes we have seen that there is no struggle from anything else. We know that Krishna consciousness is important, but we don't prioritize Krishna consciousness. So that is Niyamakshama. Okay, I know that chanting 16 rounds is important. I know that chanting 16 rounds, completing it is important. Anyway, where I am telling I will not complete the chanting of 16 rounds, where I am telling that I will not chant the rounds, I'll just postpone it to complete it as, okay, let me do other things, let me do my other things, let me do my other things. And so we do not prioritize Krishna consciousness, and this is the stage of Niyama Akshama, where we say that, oh, I have to practice Krishna consciousness, I have to practice bhakti, but then again, Akshama. Akshama means we are not able to practice, we are weak in practicing. And we discussed how one can get above this stage of Niyama Akshama. Yes, anyone remembers how we can go above the stage of Niyama Akshama? Yes, anyone? Veer Narsimha Prabhu, yes. Veer
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
Prabhu, you had told that we should try to follow the vows in groups.
So we should try to follow the vows in groups. So by following the vows in groups, then we get strength from each other, and we get also help from each other. And that is one thing that we discussed. And what else? To make our Niyama Akshama. Yes. What else? Anything else? Okay, Vijay Prabhu wants to say something.
A devotee who is good at something will help somebody who is lacking at something.
Yeah, so someone who is, so trying to take help from others who is good in something. Like for example, if I am Niyama Akshama in book reading, but I am very good in hearing some classes or something, or trying to take out points from the classes and implementing them. So I will take help of someone who is good in reading, and I'll give him help of how to hear classes nicely, and I'll take help from reading. So in this way, trying to have a symbiotic relationship with devotees, help each other, understand each other's strengths and weakness, and then we can go ahead this stage of Niyama Akshama. So from purity to priorities, and once our priorities are set, we will be seeing that now it is set. Now I'm going to chant this many number of rounds throughout my life. I'll follow these 4 regulative principles. So we become a steady devotee. Hooray! Now we'll go to Vrindavan Dham. Now nothing else is stopping me. So then what will happen is what we are going to discuss. So we will take some verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains to Rupa Goswami the development of a devotional service of a person to a development of a small creeper, or called the Bhakti Lata. So we will discuss some slokas, and then we'll again continue our discussion. Okay, so this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, 19:151. So we will start from here. Jaya Jaya. So all of you one by one can repeat. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
ब्रह्मांड भ्रमिते कौन भाग्यवान जी.
ब्रह्मांड भ्रमिते कौन भाग्यवान जी.
गुरु कृष्ण प्रसादे पाए भक्ति लता ब्रीज.
गुरु कृष्ण प्रसाद पाए भक्ति लता बीज.
Translation by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. According to their karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the universe, Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary system, and some are going down into the lower planetary system. Out of many millions of wandering living entity, one who is very, very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. By the mercy of both Krishna and the spiritual master, such a person receives the seed of the creeper of devotional service. So before we want a creeper to grow, before we want to plant anything, the first thing we require is the beej. Imagine there is no seed, then there is no question of getting a plant. So Lord Chaitanya says that Brahmanda Brahmite Kaun. Fortunate are those people after wandering so many millions of lifetimes, they get a seed. It's not that they have planted a plant. Now plant is not there, just getting the seed itself is fortunate. Like yesterday, some devotees came for the classes for the first time. So I was telling them how fortunate they are. And it's actually very fortunate. After wandering so many millions of lifetimes, to come in association once coming in association with devotees is like the most fortunate situation. So one gets the seed from the spiritual master by the grace of Krishna, by the grace of Guru, he gets the seed. And Srila Prabhupada explains what is the seed. The seed is the directions and instructions that the spiritual master gives to a person how to progress in devotion service. Like there are methodologies, like if we exactly quote what Srila Prabhupada is telling, let us read that. I think it's coming in the next sloka. Yeah. Yes. So we will read this, what Srila Prabhupada is telling, very nice. Bhakti Lata Bij means the seed of devotional service. Everything has an original cause or seed. For any idea, program, plan, or device, there is first of all contemplation of the plan, and that is called the bij or the seed. The methods, the rules, the regulations by which one is perfectly trained in devotional service constitute the Bhakti Lata Bij or the seed of devotional service. I repeat what Srila Prabhupada is telling. You see the highlighted one. The methods, the rules, and the regulations. Previously, we were not knowing what is the method of doing any devotional service. We were thinking just going to temple and just do some aarti, just do something. We were not knowing what is the meaning of aarti. We were not knowing what we are doing, whom we are doing, why we are doing, who is this. Everyone for us, everything was same. Going to a temple and doing something just for our material benefit. So we were not doing anything. So the methods of how to do bhakti, the rules, the regulations, the purpose, everything that what is the training involved in all these things is called the Bhakti Lata Bij, as Srila Prabhupada is telling. This Bhakti Lata Bij is received from the spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. So what is Bhakti Lata Bij? The methods, rules and regulations of practicing devotional service. So when one comes after with lot of wandering about different planets, different species, one comes to an association of devotees, and from the spiritual master he understands finally, oh, this is the purpose of life. Oh, this is what I have to do. Oh, the goal of life is to go into spiritual world. Oh, this is how I can go to spiritual world. So these rules and regulations, these methods that the spiritual masters give constitute the Bhakti Lata Bij, as explained here by Srila Prabhupada. Now you have got the seed. Now you have to, what is the next step after getting the seed? Yes, anyone?
Give water and nutrients.
Very good. Abhishek Prabhu is expert. Give water and the nutrients. So next, so that's what the next verse says. মালি হয়া করে সেই বীজ আরোপণ
মালিহায়া করে সেই বিজয় আরোপণ
শ্রবণ কীর্তন জলে করয়ে সিঞ্চন
শ্রবণ কীর্তন জলে করে সিঞ্চন
Yes, anyone else? মালি হয় করে সেই বীজ আরোপণ শ্রবণ কীর্তন জলে করয়ে সিঞ্চন So Lord Chaitanya says, then once you have got the gardener, you have to become Mali Hoy. And that is why our tagline of Dasosmi family is, we are gardeners of life. So Mali Hoy. So one has to become a gardener. So from when I read this for the first time, then I thought that yes, we are actually gardeners of life. So Lord Chaitanya says that all of us have to become gardener of life, gardener of heart. So Mali hoy, we are all gardener. So Mali hoy, one has to become a gardener, and then the gardener is very careful in this bija aropan. He does this aropan. Aropan matlab sows the seed. Where he sows the seed? In his own heart. And then he puts water in the seed. Shravana kirtana jale karaye sinchan. So every day there is the water of two things. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling Shravan, hearing about Krishna, Kirtan, speaking about Krishna or chanting about Krishna. So these two are the watering process. And if we see, for growth of a plant, only we have to water. Nowadays they put fertilizers, they do so many things, but water itself is sufficient. Earth, remaining things. So in our heart, if we just do these two things, do Shravan and Kirtan very nicely, so the Bhakti Lata will grow as far as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling. Then we'll see next what will happen. So next is the next one. उपजिया बाड़े लाता ब्रह्मांड भेदी जाए
ब्रह्मांड भेदी जाए
बिरजा ब्रह्मलोक भेदी परव्योम पाए
ब्रह्मलोक भेदी परव्योम पाए
Okay, anyone else? उपजिया बाड़े लता ब्रह्मांड भेदी जाए बिरजा ब्रह्मलोक भेदी परव्योम पाए Translation. As one waters this Bhakti Lata beach, as is one is watering by Shravan and Kirtan, the seed sprouts and the creeper gradually grows to a point where it penetrates the walls of the universe and goes beyond the Viraja river, lying beyond the spiritual world and material world, and attains the Brahma Loka, the Brahman effulgence. And penetrating through the stratum, it reaches the spiritual sky and the spiritual planet Golok Vrindavan. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling that you keep on watering here, and the lata will grow, and the lata will reach Golok Vrindavan. You are here, but your Bhakti Lata has reached Golok Vrindavan. So that is what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling. Now what is the next? So nice. All fun. Yes. What a wonderful proposal. Why so much of classes are required then? Why just do Shravan, Kirtan, do Sinchan, and then the Bhakti Lata is going? Then what's the problem? What all things gardener has to be careful of? Yes, Udit Prabhu has raised hand. The weeds. So the gardener, if he is not careful, then there will be problem, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now tells about the weeds. Yes. किंतु यदि लतार संगे उठे उपशाखा. Yes, anyone? भुक्ति मुक्ति वांछा जत असंख्य तार लेखा. किंतु यदि लतार संगे उठे उपशाखा, the weeds, unwanted creepers will also grow. भुक्ति मुक्ति वांछा जत असंख्य तार लेखा. तार लेखा मतलब Lord Chaitanya is telling the Bhakti Creeper is one, but the creepers, unwanted creepers are asankhya, unlimited. Just imagine one Bhakti Creeper and there are asankhya unwanted creepers, and you are watering. And these weeds are actually so dangerous for a gardener. If you know gardening, now the easiest thing for a gardener is when the weeds are of different varieties, different color. Like imagine your plant is green and the weed is red in color. It's so nice. You just can pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You can easily detect all the red weeds and just pick up and throw it away. But imagine the plant is green and the weed is green. Then it becomes difficult, right? It's difficult to detect, and even if you detect to pick it up, difficult. Imagine the plant is green, the weed is green, and the weed exactly looks like plant. Then it becomes really difficult to pick it up. And in rice cultivation, if you know, there is a weed, it exactly looks like the rice plant. This rice weed exactly looks like the rice plant. I don't know, in Odia there is a name for this. And it will grow and it will exactly have the stalks of the rice, like the rice. And it will have the rice seeds also. Only thing is that inside there will be no rice. Hare Krishna. Only the husk will be there, and if you squeeze it, there is no rice. And you will find the entire field, if you are not careful as a gardener, you will find your entire field filled with rice, and you will be happy. Oh, rice is growing, rice is growing, rice is growing. And then one day you go and just squeeze it, and there is no rice. And you go ahead, you squeeze it, no rice. You go ahead and squeeze it. Then you realize, array, after the entire year of cultivation, you realize during harvesting, array, I was fooled by these rice weeds. And I have no rice now, I have only the weeds. And that what happens in this stage, which Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, that is the last stage of Anisthita Bhajana Kriya, which is called Taranga Rangini. Being happy, seeing the weeds grow, which resemble the Bhakti Creeper. Like just like a gardener who is very, very happy. Oh, nice, 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 so nice. So nice, my harvesting is happening. But there is no rice seeds in that. So today's discussion, we will discuss about what are these weeds of bhakti and how do we really take them out from our spiritual life. So these weeds are unwanted creepers, and it resembles exactly like bhakti, as if I am doing bhakti. But we will not get any benefit of rendering that type of bhakti. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu defines the weed. निषिद्धाचार कुटिनाटी जीव हिंसना
निषिद्धाचार कुटिनाटी जीवा हिंसना
लाभ पूजा प्रतिष्ठादि जत उपशाखागण
लाभ पूजा प्रतिष्ठादि यथा उपसखा गणा
someone else निषिद्धाचार कुटिनाटी जीव हिंसना yes anyone
निषेधाचार कुटिनाति जीव हिंसना
लाभ पूजा प्रतिष्ठादि जत उपशाखागण
लाभ पूजा प्रतिष्ठादि यत उपसखा गणा
translation some unnecessary creepers growing with the bhakti creeper are the creepers of behavior unacceptable for those trying to attain perfection, that is called nisidhachar. And then diplomatic behavior, kuti nati, crooked behavior, animal cleaning, jiva himsana, labha, trying to find out mundane profit from bhakti, pratishtha, puja, and puja, mundane adoration and mundane distinction or importance. All these are unwanted creepers in devotional service. Nisidhachar, kutinati, jiva himshan, labha, puja, pratisthadi, jata upasakhagan. So these are the upasakhas defined by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And these upasakhas, sometimes when we give water, Lord Chaitanya, let us take the next sloka, then we will discuss. The next sloka is very nice. सेक जल पाया उप शाखा बढ़ी जाए स्तब्ध है मूल शाखा बढ़ीते न पाए सेक जल पाए उप शाखा बढ़ी जाए स्तब्ध हया मूल शाखा बढ़ीते न पाए. So Lord Chaitanya is telling, getting the irrigated system of watering, seka jala, paya, milne ke baad, after getting it, upasakhas, these weeds, they grow like unlimited ways. Stabdahaya, and they choke. Stabdahaya means choke. They choke the mula sakha. Actually, the entire gardening started with the Bhakti Lata bij. But then the weeds grow so much that the Bhakti Lata bij and the Bhakti plant is not visible now. The weeds are growing and you are watering. You are thinking my Bhakti is going on. And then after some time you realize, oh, I missed the train. I missed the point. I missed the point. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that it will choke the devotional service. So this stage is called the Taranga Rangini, where the person waters the weeds of devotional service. Taranga Rangini. Taranga matlab waves. Like you have seen surfing? How nice it is to surf. How many of you have done surfing? Oh, none of you. Okay. How many of you have gone in sip? And like this, the sip happens. Okay, 1, 2, some devotees have gone in sip. So it's like taranga. And it's like, initially it is good, but then you get seasickness also. But still it is like this. Taranga, rangini. Enjoying. Rangini matlab enjoying. So enjoying the waves of the weeds. That's what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. This is the stage. Now we will go a little bit of discussion in this. So the first one we will discuss is how to get rid of the weeds, and definitely. But then how do we know that I am watering the weeds? How do I know? Because if I know I am watering the weeds, then only I can do something about it. So how do I know? Yes, anyone? How do we know that we are watering the weeds? What are the external, internal symptoms of finding out I am watering the weeds? Yes, anyone?
Consulting the spiritual master.
Okay, consulting the spiritual master. I am watering the weeds. Okay, anyone else?
Not experiencing the effects of bhakti that we hear a lot.
So one loud Hari Bol for Vijay Prabhu.
Hari Bol.
It was not a loud thing. It was like very, very.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Very good. So not experiencing what we are reading and hearing. We are reading and oh Krishna. But when we are chanting, oh Krishna, when you will get over. We are reading, Rupa Goswami, when he was chanting, he was crying, and we are also crying and chanting that when this mala will get over. Why did I say it? Why did I take this commitment of chanting these rounds? So we are not able to experience what we are hearing and reading in the scriptures. We are not able to experience Krishna. We are not able to experience happiness. As I was discussing with Santanu Prabhu, we were discussing yesterday, we are telling, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. We said to everyone. And we are chanting Hare Krishna and we are not happy, but we are saying everyone, chant Hare Krishna, be happy, chant Hare Krishna, be happy. But we are not feeling that happiness. And this is something like the 1 paisa circus. How many of you know the 1 paisa circus? Okay, Ankit Prabhu knows, Chandan Prabhu knows, others don't know, so I will tell you the 1 paisa circus. One time in a city, there was a circus being announced and there was a poster, 1 paisa circus, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. How many of you are excited about it? 1 paisa circus. So the news spread like wildfire. 1 paisa circus, 1 paisa circus. Everyone was just talking about the 1 paisa circus. Yes, in just 1 paisa, you can get the entire circus experience. Oh, what will be there? Oh my goodness, there will be so much of happiness and there will be so many things and all those things. And then there was all the descriptions of the circus. There will be beautiful girls playing the drums. There will be animals who are jumping and frolicking along with the girls, and there will be clowns who will be making you happy. This is all about the 1 paisa circus. It will bring a revolution of happiness in your life. 1 paisa only. It's free only practically. Yes, only free. And everyone becomes so much inspired to attend this 1 paisa circus. Everyone is now making a big line, and they say, why this line? Circus means you sit in a stadium and you see the circus. No. This is the 1 paisa circus. This is the single entry circus. So everyone stands in line, and then there is registration done proper, and then they wear a big badge and then they wear you know how the in offices you go, Amazon or HCL and L&T, and then they make you wear a patta. So then you are given a garland and in it the logo is there, the 1 paisa circus experience. And then the person is standing and waiting and waiting and waiting, and then finally the door opens and one person is sent inside for that individual, private, personal experience of the 1 paisa circus. And then one person gets in. And then he's smiling, entering the arena of the circus. And then one girl comes and removes the patta and puts it. And this person thinks, oh, maybe there will be some reception. And then first the patta is removed nicely. And then there are 4 or 5 people who come who are big fellows. They come and start beating and say, what is this? And then they put their mouth like this and they're beating this side, that side and everything. And he gets so much of beating from all sides, he's not able to open his mouth. And then one lady comes and puts little bit of ointment and all those things, and again puts the patta and sends him off. And when this person is out from the 1 paisa circus, he asks other people who are standing in line, waiting eagerly to experience the 1 paisa circus. They ask, oh, what is happening? What is happening? What did you experience? Oh, so nice, it was such a happy experience and so nice. Please go inside. Please go inside. You will also experience the beautiful 1 paisa circus. Oh, is it? Are so beautiful. I saw in the 1 paisa circus the wonderful elephants, the wonderful tigers, and there are ladies who are serving you such wonderful reception. Everything in just 1 paisa, Okay, and then these people who are standing in line, they become very, very eager. And the person who is in the beginning, he is becoming really, my goodness, I also want to experience. So he enters. The same, the lady comes, removes the patta, and then the lady, with his own beautiful hands, binds the hands of a person, binds the mouth of a person nicely, and the person is thinking, maybe I will get an unforgettable experience. That's why the lady is doing like this. And then again, 6 people come from all directions, and because now his mouth is bound by the lady and hands are bound, he cannot just do anything and just beaten. And are you feeling happy? And he said, he's telling like this, I'm feeling somehow happy. And then finally again the lady comes, removes the patta, removes this and puts, and who will tell that I have been, who is that foolish person who will tell I have been beaten up? He goes out and asked by others, how was the 1 paisa circus experience? Oh, wow. It was so nice, I was feeling ecstatic. I was jumping in the air about the 1 paisa circus. You just have to go in to experience it. And then he goes out. So most of us, our experience of bhakti is like this 1 paisa circus. We really don't experience bhakti in fullest. And we somehow are busy so much in bringing new people to bhakti. But we are feeling so much dry in our practice of devotional service. If one is honest, he will personally confess that whatever is being promised in bhakti, till date I have not experienced it. It is simply a 1 paisa circus for me. And there is promise, yes, it will happen, and it is not happening. And we are busy making other people, distribute the books. Get all people come to Krishna consciousness. Let everyone become fortunate. But we have to understand, until unless we experience ourselves the bhakti, the fulfillment in bhakti, then it is simply a 1 paisa circus experiences. And we are not experiencing the fulfillment in bhakti like the people who are experiencing fulfillment. It's because we are actually watering the weeds. We are watering the weeds of devotional service. And our bhakti lata, which is supposed to give us the satisfaction, is actually getting choked up. Just like these 6 fellows, they came and choked up this person and started beating. Similarly, these weeds, they choke up our bhakti. And nothing grows. We feel dry. Our bhakti is like an empty husk. You know what is called empty husk? Like I was giving an example of the rice. No, it resembles like a rice plant, but there is no rice seed in it. So how long we can just continue on with our priorities, with our chanting of 16 rounds, following the 4 regulative principles when we are not experiencing any fulfillment in bhakti? And that's why we see that so many devotees, after experiencing this 1 paisa circus, will anyway, anytime, ever in the thought of this person will come that I will again join that line. That is a one-time experience for him. He will never join, correct? So similarly, when a person gets frustrated in devotional service and is not experiencing it, then he will leave the devotional service, leave the fortune of getting the devotional service, and will go down thinking, "Arey, these devotees are simply faking. They are most hypocritical fellows in the entire universe. They simply fake." But the reality is, he never practiced devotional service seriously. He simply was watering the weeds. And what is this weed? Primarily, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling, is of 2 categories. One is kutinati, diplomatic behavior, and the second one is desire for fame. So these are the 2 weeds which are very, very dangerous. So when we are struggling with our purity in the beginning stages, and then we struggle with our priorities, in this stage of Taranga Rangini, the sadhaka struggles with purpose. Why I am practicing Krishna Bhakti? So if one has to go above this stage of Taranga Rangini, if one has to cut the weeds, he has to ask the question to himself again and again, why I am practicing Krishna Bhakti? What is the purpose of my practice of Krishna Bhakti? Is it for showing others how great I am? Is it to prove others how nice I am? Or is it to please Guru and Krishna? Why I am doing some service? Why I am chanting? Why I am reading? Why I am hearing? So the purpose of bhakti has to be clear if I want to get out of Taranga Rangini. Why I am practicing bhakti? And most of us, we see that the purpose of our practice of bhakti is very, very, very material, either gross or subtle. Yes? Can anyone say, now we will do a little bit of brainstorming. What can all be gross material purposes for one practicing bhakti? Then we will discuss what can be the most subtle material purposes which will not be seen for practicing bhakti, and what can be the right purpose to practice bhakti. So these 3 things we will discuss now. Yes, what can be the most gross material purpose for practicing bhakti? Yes, anyone please, one by one. Very, very gross. Yes, Poonam Mataji. Yes.
For better family life.
For better family life, this Prabhuji is such a free, cheap marriage counselor. Amazing. nice. My husband and wife relationships have improved a lot. Prabhuji, great. Keep on going. And so for better prospects in married life. Amazing. Yes, next. Yes, Santanu Prabhu has to say. Others will have also raised hand. Yes.
So generally people see that devotees actually they are not, their थोड़ा character अच्छा रहता है, good in value, तो शादी वादी करने के लिए ना अच्छा मिल जाएगा.
Okay. So Santanu Prabhu, why you are speaking like this?
I have heard many people.
Oh, you have heard. I don't think you are acting on it.
ISKCON में इतना लोग हैं, कोई ना कोई मिल जाएगा. ISKCON वाले तो अच्छा ही होते हैं.
Okay. And I have personally seen this. Boys and girls coming to ISKCON temple to hunt for their partner. And really, say lucrative things like in you remember when I started preaching in 2017 and 18, I used to come from Albert Road to Newtown. So sometimes coming from Albert Road, I will not get a bus directly to Newtown, so I will come through Karunamai. It's a salt lake, and from Karunamai, I will take an auto to Newtown bus stand. So one time when I was taking an auto from Karunamai to Newtown bus stand, I get into the auto and the auto was empty, and the auto person said, okay, I will drop you because I have to go to that side. And then the auto person started talking. Oh, you are from Mayapur? I said, I'm not from Mayapur, I stay in ISKCON, Calcutta. Oh. Your Mayapur temple is so nice. I said, why it is so nice? I have heard and I know that you just go and your life gets settled in Mayapur. I said, okay, how the life gets settled? Let me know. Now you just go to Mayapur, and then there are so many foreign girls, and then you choose someone, and then they are also looking for a right match, and then so many people get married, and you are now sadhu wearing dhoti, and many people wear dhoti and do go to Mayapur to search for the foreign girls, and then you get a green card and you're settled. Amazing, what an experience. I said, wow, I never thought about it. I said to him, but where did you hear this? He said, many of my friends, they have been to Mayapur and now they are settled, and they call back and they say, look what we have done, achieved in life. Amazing. Higher prospects. So this too happens. Hare Krishna. Yes. Now next is Sanjukta Mataji will like to say something.
Prabhuji, for peace, some people think when I am disturbed, I'll go to the temple and I'll be peaceful.
Oh, I'll be peaceful. I'll get some peace. Shanti mil jayega. Yes, Kushal Bihari Prabhu.
So much respect we'll get. People will bow down to us and I'll sit on Vyasas and give classes, and so many people will become followers.
Yes, so many people will follow us, and they'll be and you will just send a message that today's class is important and you have to make notes, and so just when you send the message, so many people will just make the notes. Just imagine how much power I have got just within one message. So many people are just coming and making notes. This is what I have achieved in Bhakti. Hare Krishna. Yes, Vijay Prabhu.
Prabhuji is in IIT, he will guide us in my career, my life.
Oh, Prabhuji is in IIT, guide me, and what next? No, my son will become an IITian like the Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. And then I say that it will become like this also. No, Prabhuji, I have only one son, so you don't give so much of mercy. You just give little mercy. Come mercy. Yes, Udit Prabhu and then Sabyasachi Prabhu.
It's the easiest way out to earn livelihood and maintain family. Some people, they come in Bhakti and then they just join for getting money and taking care of their family, not specifically focus on Bhakti.
Yeah.
Like I've seen in Denmark, some people came and then they Prabhuji, they used to take money from others. They were giving money to temple and they said, I'm doing right thing because I have a family to maintain in India and the easiest way out.
So it's very easy way just to go and find out some livelihood in the association of devotees. Yes, Sabyasachi Prabhu asked.
So I second the opinion of Madhurya.
Yeah, so for livelihood, and then what can be possible subtle reasons of practice of devotional service? Subtle weeds. Yes.
Many people earn money through lot of sinful things, but they think थोड़ा भगवान को भी दे देंगे तो मतलब they want to give some share because
So they want to make their black to white. So that is also one of the gross material purpose. Yes, what can be subtle purposes? Okay, Syama Priya and Vijay Prabhu, subtle.
By chanting, my life will be, my mind will be peaceful.
Okay, my mind will be peaceful. Okay, what else? Yes, Veer Narsingh Prabhu.
karma will be removed.
This is a very powerful, subtle reason within our heart lurking. Oh, my karmas are all getting away by chanting Hare Krishna. So nice. Karmana nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajan. Karte raho mala, karte raho. Wow, my karmas are going away. So this is a very powerful, subtle reason that one practices bhakti. Very, very significant reason of getting rid of the karmic reactions. Yes. Anyone else?
Going to heavenly planets.
Going to heavenly planets, we never thought about it, but yes, practicing bhakti awards going to heavenly planets. Yes, definitely. What else? Yes, Poonam Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. All my past generations and everyone will go back to Godhead.
Okay, going back to God is not that such a material reason.
मतलब कि पाप धुल जाएंगे और आगे पीछे के सारे
हाँ, सब जनरेशन चले जाएंगे मेरे साथ. I will go and others will also go. Yes, Ritu Mataji.
My concentration increase or my desire will be fulfilled.
हाँ.
चैंटिंग करते हैं तो सुनते हैं कि अगर आप चैंटिंग के समय कुछ इच्छा करते हैं वो पूरी होती है तो Yes. If during the chanting I am desiring that I'll get a wonderful wife, I'll get a wife. If in chanting I'll get a good husband, I'll get a good husband. In chanting I'm desiring that money will come, because Hari Naam Chintamani. Whatever chinta, it will manifest. So very nice. I have got a right process. So these are some of the subtle and gross reasons, for wrong reasons or the weeds for which one can keep on practicing bhakti, but there are some other subtle reasons which are missed out. Okay, Janma Mrityu Jara, that's a gross reason. Yes, Santanu Prabhu.
Generally thought comes that if I chant Hare Krishna, then कुछ भी मेरे साथ गलत नहीं होगा materially. मेरा एकदम health भी एकदम अच्छा रहेगा.
Yes.
कुछ भी problem नहीं आएगा.
So my health will be all right, my this will be all right, that will be all right, and everything will be all right, and nothing remains all right, because Krishna is Krishna. He is the most wonderful prankster in the entire creation, and he will play such pranks with you. So these are some of the subtle reasons. Now I'll give you 2 minutes, because I'm getting a washroom call. I just have to go. Now I'll give you 2-3 minutes where you can just sit down and meditate. How do I get rid of these working for wrong things? Like we work for profit, we work for adoration, we work for anything we do. We have seen in our heart, the first thing we get is what I will get from it. What will I be unknown by this activity? So how do we detect that we are being affected by these weeds? The first thing we discussed about feeling dry in Krishna consciousness. The second thing is that sometimes we don't even have to feel dry, but we may be working very enthusiastically in Krishna consciousness, but we may be watering the weeds. Like, for example, people are so enthusiastic to do those specific services which bring recognition. If services enthuse you, gives you enthusiasm, then chanting Hare Krishna is the greatest service. But that doesn't give enthusiasm. Oh, it's a boring activity. But book distribution, where my name will be announced today in the morning, where I'll get a garland, where it will be told, oh, Sri Nitai Das distributed 108 Mahabig books, Bhagavad Gita today. Wow, Sri Nitai Das, you have done it. So great. Like, I remember I had gone to Puri in last 6 years. I have not gone. So 6 years before, I think 2017 or 1817 sometimes, I met my Tauji. And my Tauji said, ki, I heard, I think it's 2018, after I have shifted. So my Tauji said, ki, oh, I heard that you have been shifted from another place in Calcutta to another place. I said, yes. We are building a big temple there in Calcutta, that place. And that is why some devotees have to be shifted there because we have already got land and almost 20 acres of land. We are going to have a big temple there. As soon as I said the word big temple, my Tauji became really serious. Said, oh, big temple? That means there is some small temple, and then there is big temple, and then there is small temple, and then there is big, and then there is small, and then there is problems. And I was really, I was very, I was thinking, I was contemplating on what he said, and I was thinking, yes, all the problems comes from this big and small, correct? I will build a big temple for Krishna. Just see the other devotees. They are having a small hut for Krishna. Okay, what they are doing for Prabhupada. Just see Sri Nitai Das. Build, just pioneer, remarkable, monumental achievement. What they are doing. So, it's important to do all these things for Krishna. But when we become proud, when we do it for our distinction, to show and prove others how great we are, definitely in ISKCON we are doing so nice things. But if we become proud that we are the greatest of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas that they have come, then we will not achieve any mercy of Lord Chaitanya. We will not achieve any mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Srila Prabhupada, he established 108 temples, more than what his Guru Maharaj established 64 temples, but he always considered himself as the most insignificant servant of his Gurudev. And his Gurudev, he established 64 temples, and Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was a pauper. He had nothing. He was living in a latrine. He was living in a public toilet so that he will not get disturbed by people, and he was chanting his rounds in a public toilet. That was his temple. But Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, of all his achievements of 64 mathas and all over the India, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was so famous that
when he will go in train, that train will stop in a station, people will be just thronging on, not to get into the train, just to get a glimpse of the darshan of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. One time when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had gone for a program to establish Vaishnavism, people, the crowd was so inspired by that speech. They just wanted to catch the feet of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They wanted to take the dust, they wanted to drink the water, and the crowd was so much that the police was not able to control, and the police said, Swamiji, Prabhupada, we have an instruction for you. This is important to control the crowd. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur humbly said, what? These are the two buckets. You put your leg inside these buckets and we will sprinkle and give these buckets of water to others so that the crowd is pacified. Hare Krishna. Can you imagine the fame? And such a person with such fame, where the police is telling that we need to control the mob and we need your Charanamrit, that person considered himself the most insignificant servant of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who didn't have a hut, who was living in a public toilet and chanting his rounds. So these external successes where we are so glamored and glittered and trying to show others that how great I am, even in bhakti, we try to evaluate someone's bhakti on the basis of how much external material achievements he is having. And that evaluation actually springs the weeds of desires in our heart. Why I want initiation from this spiritual master? Because this spiritual master is very famous. And because he's so famous, when I go and tell, oh, you are a disciple of such and such spiritual master, oh great. That is why in Vedic scriptures, one of the injunction is never tell the name of your spiritual master. And the reason for this injunction is that a disciple should not use the fame of the spiritual master to get his own fame. So in this way, these principles of Krishna consciousness, of distributing books, doing preaching, giving classes, or going out and doing something for Krishna, building a temple, these things can only bring spiritual progress in our life only when we do it with the right purpose of consciousness, right consciousness. But because we have been living, because we are coming with a momentum of material consciousness from material life, we try to project that material consciousness in our endeavors in bhakti. We try to project that competitive mentality. Oh, what is the use of my giving a class? In my class, just some 3-4 people are coming. Just see that lady. When she gives a class, 15 people are clapping the hands. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, my yatra is not that glorious yatra. You see that Prabhuji. That Prabhuji, when he takes yatra, 1,000 devotees go in the yatra. And this Prabhuji, just 10-15 people, they go and then just, what is the use of this yatra? And this Prabhuji is also not that spiritually potent. And what can just see the potency of this Prabhuji. So in this way, on a very, very materialistic conceptions born from our materialistic consciousness, impure consciousness, we evaluate our Krishna consciousness and our progress, and we evaluate the progress of others. One time I had gone to a temple. I will not tell the name of the temple. I met some devotees. And some devotees from somewhere, they have heard about the preaching that I am doing and in Newtown or something. And this devotee said, Ki Prabhuji, I am such amazed. You are an inspiration for me. I said, wow, good. What inspires you? Now just imagine, you went to Newtown and nothing you had and nothing, and from scratch you developed. Now you are moving in car, you are doing so much, and so many people are attending your classes. Amazing. This is the mercy of Krishna. I said, Hare Krishna. What is the mercy of Krishna? This is what mercy of Krishna I was thinking, but I didn't say because he was senior to me. I said, what nonsense is this? This is no mercy of Krishna. I was thinking if I can chant sincerely holy names of the Lord, these are all actually distractions in my bhakti. I somehow or other want to get rid of my smartphone. I was not interested in smartphone. I was just having a small mobile, and now it's, but what can be done for preaching? But externally, people do see this is the progress in bhakti this person is doing. If a person is having a very good phone, if a person is going in car, if a person is having a lot of followers, then he's progressing in bhakti. It may be true, because when a person is practicing bhakti nicely, so many other people also want to cling to him so that they can also practice bhakti. That may be the truth, that may be also the reality, but we must understand the purity of the purpose for which I am practicing Krishna consciousness. I am not practicing Krishna consciousness to get resources out of Krishna consciousness. But I am practicing Krishna consciousness to develop a relationship with, to reawaken my relationship with Krishna as the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna and all the Vaishnavas. So this purpose has to be very, very clear. We may do great things. We may do remarkable things in the mission of our Guru. We may do remarkable things for the Guru Parampara. But if we become proud, if we think that I am great because I am doing these things, because I am having all these things, then this is called Taranga Rangini. We may stay for millions of lifetimes in this stage of Taranga Rangini because it's the most illusory stage of practice of bhakti. One can be fully illusioned that I am doing bhakti, where the purpose of my bhakti is simply to attract others. Where the purpose of my bhakti is how can I be great. Yesterday I was talking with Ansuman Prabhu, and I was telling him, Prabhuji, don't you think that last so many months we have not met in monthly meeting, we have not discussed something? And then Anshuman Prabhu was telling, oh Prabhuji, I was thinking that these monthly meetings are just for newcomers, so that you can give time to newcomers. I was thinking, no at all. Rather, I want to give most of my time and energy to those who are really serious, because so that I will get some association. Instead of just thinking about giving association, I also need some association. And those who are serious, what association they can give. For new people, they will ask some questions. Oh, Prabhuji, I have this problem, that problem. But with those who have become serious in Krishna consciousness, I can read Bhagavatam, I can read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Instead of just thinking, oh, I will get more and more new people. Sometimes we get into a trap of getting new people, but we forget relishing bhakti ourselves. We must never forget to relish bhakti. And when we relish bhakti, that is the purpose why we have come to Krishna consciousness. We have not come to become great. We have come to become servant of the servant of the servant of the great. We have not come to show our greatness. In the course of our bhakti, we may become great. But that's not the purpose of our bhakti. The purpose of our bhakti is to become a humble servant of Vaishnavas. To give pleasure to Vaishnavas, to give pleasure to Guru, to give pleasure to Krishna, to share Krishna consciousness with devotees. Not just to increase my fame, just to increase my follower base, not to increase my resources, not to show to the whole world how great I am. There are Brajavasis who are the greatest of the devotees now living in the planet, whom Krishna loves and may be giving everyday darshan, maybe 3 times a day darshan to them. Even now they are existing in Vrindavan. None of us know about them. It is simply because my Gurudev went to Vrindavan and stayed for some days, and he met a personality called Ghanshyam Baba, whom some people have heard his lecture, that we came to know that such a personality existed in Vrindavan called Ghanshyam Baba. Even the Brajavasis were not knowing who is Ghanshyam Baba. There is one story which I recently heard from Hari Prasad Prabhu. He heard from someone somewhere else. There is something called the Lala Babu temple in Vrindavan. How many of you know about the Lala Babu temple in Vrindavan? So I will tell you a very, very interesting story. Please hear it carefully. So this Lala Babu was a very, very, very wealthy businessman from South India. And he was so inspired by Vrindavan to come and reside in Vrindavan, to have a feeling of Vrindavan, that when he came to Vrindavan, he thought that let me renounce everything and settle in Vrindavan. So he was searching for a guru, and then finally he met one person. And when he went, he asked to his spiritual master that I want to take initiation from you. And the spiritual master said, you still have attachment. So you have to give them up, then only I can initiate you. I was thinking that if my spiritual master would have said like this to me, then I would have never taken initiation in my entire lifetime. But he was Lala Babu. So he renounced everything. He thought that he came back and he thought maybe because I am holding all this money and resources. So he took all his resources, gave some of the resources to his relatives, took all the resources, and he started distributing everything in Vrindavan to all the Brajavasis and everything. And he became a pauper, and he was staying in a kutir, and then in a simple dress, staying in a kutir, he went to his guru and asked that I want initiation from you. Please give me initiation. And the Guru said, you are not prepared for initiation. You have attachments left. And this person was thinking, what attachment I have? I have simply now a kutir. So let me renounce this kutir. And this person came to the streets and became a beggar. And he was begging in the streets, begging in the streets. And then after some months, he again went to his guru and he said, please initiate me. I want to take initiation. I want to practice bhakti. I want to go back to Vrindavan. And the guru said, you have attachments left. You are not ready now for initiation. Please get rid of them. I said, this is too much. And then this Lala Babu was contemplating while begging and begging and begging. What in attachment do I have? I am not able to understand. And my guru is not revealing them. He's just telling, I have attachments, I just don't want. And he was begging and begging. Again, some months passed away. And then, one day, he came near a temple in Vrindavan that is called the Rangaji temple. And this Rangaji temple was the temple built by his competitor in South India. Both had put the money to build temple. He built the Lala Babu temple, which he renounced in Vrindavan. And his competitor, to compete, built a Rangaji temple. And while standing as a beggar in front of the Rangaji temple, he was fighting a war within. Can I go in front? And because he saw in front of the Rangaji temple, there is a big line of people begging for prasadam, and his competitor way in the front is giving prasadam khichdi to everyone. And while standing in front of the Rangaji temple, he was having a war within that, can I fight this war? I think this is the attachment that my guru is referring to. My mentality to compete, which is completely against the consciousness of entering Vrindavan Dham. And this Lala Babu, he wins over the fight, his internal fight. He stands on the line as a beggar. And he goes ahead. And by the time he reaches in the front of the line, so Rangaji Babu has left and his assistant is now distributing prasadam. And when his assistant sees Lala Babu, he recognizes. He immediately falls down and he immediately calls his Babu. Said, Lala Babu has come. And when his Babu, he hears this, that how come his competitor, his heart has become so purified that he's coming and begging. He becomes so inspired that he brings a big pile of jewels to give to Lala Babu. And Lala Babu falls at the feet of his competitor. He says, I don't need a pile of jewels. I just want to get rid of this pile of trash that I have in my heart, which is prohibiting me to get initiated from my Gurudev. Please bless me. And after that he goes back and his Gurudev says, I will initiate you now. You are prepared for initiation. Hare Krishna. So, the story of Lala Babu shows that how this Taranga Rangini, he built a big temple. And Rangaji built a big temple. to build a big temple in Vrindavan. The scripture says that Krishna is building a temple for you or a house for you in spiritual world. That's what scripture says. But if we do all these activities which show external glamour and glitter in Krishna consciousness, but with the wrong purpose of showing and projecting our own ego, how great we are, then we don't achieve any progress in devotional service through this. This is the weed that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is referring. The weed to establish oneself. The weed to express oneself. Now, how do we cut the weed? In next 5-10 minutes, we will be discussing about how to destroy this weed. I think it will take more time. Next class, we can discuss about how to destroy the weed. We will be discussing about the solution. How to destroy this weed of expressing oneself, the weed of achieving oneself, and doing everything to satisfy one's egoistic pleasure. So maybe, because I'm thinking it will not get over in 10 minutes, there may be questions, answers you may be like to ask. So any short question from today's discussion? Yes, Sabyasachi Prabhu, and then later on other devotees.
In Chaitanya Charitamrita Leela 9.159, that will discuss about Pratishthali, which is one of the weed that we talked about. And I believe the similar word is used in Nectar of Instruction, Janasanga Salolo. So these both are similar. And if it's similar, does it happen to a spiritual master also if he or she falls in the trap of followers, assuming and presuming that these are mine, and by doing so, is there the example that the spiritual master fall down from the aim and get entangled in material food?
Yes. So Prabhuji is asking that, is that that the spiritual master falls in this pool of mine or disciple. So first of all, the problem is not about the attachment between the spiritual master and the disciple, because for the functionality of the relationship between the spiritual master and disciple, the spiritual master has to consider this disciple as my disciple. Otherwise, he will not be able to instruct, because the Vedic injunction says that you can only give guidance and instructions to your disciples. So the spiritual master is not a self-acclaimed position. It is a position that the disciple gives to the spiritual master. And if the spiritual master is knowing about it, that so long this person considers me spiritual master, I will guide him, and after that, if he doesn't consider, he wants to get guidance from someone else, let him go. So then that spiritual master can actually handle disciples. Otherwise, it is seen that the spiritual master gets attached to the disciples, that this disciple has to hear from me, and then there is problems in both the spiritual master's lives and the life of a disciple. So the spiritual master should be very clear that I am not spiritual master. This disciple is considering me as his spiritual master. He wants some instructions from me. I am guiding him. The spiritual master should think that previously I had no one to practice bhakti with together. Now I have these people who are inspired in bhakti. Let me practice bhakti with them together. So that should be the mood and feeling of the spiritual master, that he should not think that I am something standing out as spiritual master. I am also a practitioner. I am also practicing bhakti. I am trying, let me practice bhakti together with everyone. And that is the only reason a person should go out for preaching, that he's feeling bad that why I'm practicing bhakti alone. Let me have some people, we can practice bhakti together. And when we practice bhakti together, Krishna is actually happy. This is Sankirtan. It's not Kirtan. Lord Chaitanya has not brought Kirtan. He brought Sankirtan. And I am practicing alone, I am discussing alone. So let me discuss some things with others. But the disciples should not think like this. The disciples should not think that my spiritual master will fall down if I tell to him that I am, he is my spiritual master, give me some instructions. So disciple from his side should be very, very careful in respecting the spiritual master and understanding that the spiritual master is be all and end all of his life. But the spiritual master should never consider himself as the be all and end all of his disciple. He should consider that, oh, this person, so long he is asking me some guidance, I will pray to Krishna, get some divine inspiration, I will tell him. Now, as far as practical examples where spiritual masters had difficulties, yes, spiritual masters had difficulties. Sukracharya himself had difficulty when Bali Maharaj wanted to surrender everything to Krishna and he was not following him. He cursed him, and that was a fall down for Sukracharya. And then when Sukracharya meets Bamandev, and Bamandev says, look, Sukracharya, what happened to your disciple? You could not do anything. Such inauspicious things happen to your disciple. Like this Bamandev says to Sukracharya. And Sukracharya says, when your name, your glories, your holy name is chanted, no inauspicious things are happening. Mantratas, chantratas, chidram. All chidram become achidram when you are there, O my Lord. So that's what Bamandev says to Sukracharya. So yes, the spiritual master can become attached to the to the benefits that he is getting from the disciple, if he considers himself as the spiritual master. But if he considers that this personality wants some guidance, and so long he wants some guidance, let me do this service very efficiently, then there is no problem. But if he thinks, oh, I am spiritual master. No, I am not spiritual master. He is making me as his spiritual master. This is the right statement. I am not his spiritual master. He has made me or chosen me his spiritual master, and as a service, I have to give some guidance according to the scriptures for his improvement. And when he chooses someone else, let him go. I will pray to Krishna, oh Krishna, please take care of him. But so long he is there, it is my responsibility as a spiritual master, because he considers me as spiritual master, to take care of him. I should not be thinking, oh, I will become proud if I take care of him. I'll become proud if I chastise him. I'll become proud if I instruct him. So the spiritual master should not be worried about chastising the disciple, thinking that the disciple may go out somewhere else. If he goes out somewhere else, if it is required that he need be corrected, he needs to be corrected. But with compassion. And if the disciple thinks that the spiritual master is correcting me, and then he thinks, oh, I will have to choose someone else, and the disciple goes away. But the spiritual master doesn't think, oh, if I not behave nicely with my disciple, then he may go away. Let him go away. So both the disciple and the spiritual master has to do their service, and the definition should be clear. The spiritual master should be clear, I am not the spiritual master. He considers me as his spiritual master, as his spiritual master. That's why I have to act. And at some point of time, the disciples say, now you don't act as my spiritual master. The spiritual master stops acting. He says, okay, based on your age, based on your level of Krishna consciousness, I will either consider you as my superior or my equal or my junior, but I will never consider you as my disciple. And I will relate with you in that way. So then it will be safe. Okay, does that clear?
Bro, my apology. Probably I could not convince the question to you. The question was, the Jana Sangraha part and Pratishtha part, does it apply to the spiritual master? It is not talk about the disciples. And if it is so, then is there any instances where spiritual master falls down because of the false attachment to the Jana Sangraha or Pratishtha? Because we have seen Madhavendra Puri left Kirchura Gopinath after that incident because of that reason.
Yeah. So Jana Sangha is materialistic association. Now a spiritual master who is or a person who is showing compassion to others, he should be careful about his status in bhakti. He should not be overconfident that he can go and deliver anyone and everyone. Because if he is overconfident, then he will land up into problem. Just because if I cannot deliver a person, that doesn't mean that no one can deliver him. Srila Prabhupada could deliver the hippies, but if I start delivering the hippies, I may fall down. But that doesn't mean that there is no one in this entire creation can deliver the hippies. Nityanand Prabhu can deliver the prostitute hunters, and Haridas Thakur can deliver the prostitute. But I should not attempt to deliver the prostitute or a prostitute hunter or the hippies. So one should be very honest, and then he will be saved. Fall down happens when one is dishonest. One is trying to act which is not according to his platform. Then there will be fall down definitely. Not just in this case of a spiritual master, in case of any generic devotee. If a person is not honest to his adhikar, then he will definitely fall down. And the spiritual master will also fall down. So as far as Jana Sangha is concerned and all those things, one has to be careful about understanding one's adhikar. And Madhavendra Puri's example is different. Madhavendra Puri is Bhajananandi. He was not a Goshthanandi. So there is a difference between how a Bhajananandi behaves and a Goshthanandi behaves. So Bhajananandi is more concerned about his bhajan, and a Goshthanandi is also concerned about his bhajan, but he wants to share the experiences of his bhajan to others. And that is why sometimes the Goshthanandi may accept disciples. But Madhavendra Puri and like Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj also were Bhajananandis, where they were not much interested in preaching. So, and that is why he saw that these things will bring trouble to his bhajan, so he went away. But then when he realized that he can utilize it for service, he did utilize it. The king came to him and said, oh, I want to do something, you are so famous. He said, oh, if you think that I am famous and God has given me some mercy, special mercy, you give some chandan to me. So he utilized his fame to get some service done. But he was not attached to his fame. So in that way, Madhavendra Puri is an Bhajananandi, because of which he did what he did. But post Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our parampara is most of a Goshthanandi, where we, in order to please Srila Prabhupada, in order to please Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in order to please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are more involved in experiencing our bhajan ourselves and sharing that bhajan with others. Okay? Hari Bol. Yes, Kushal Bihari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you very much for a wonderful class. My question is, this process to us is given by Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada during his time had established some practices like book distribution and then announcement of names in the morning for those who distribute the books.
Yes.
And the purpose with which he had established to develop a healthy competition between the devotees so that the service of the Lord can be enhanced. Similarly, if we see from institution point of view, ISKCON as an institution also needs growth and maintenance. And preaching as is the goal of, this is one of the goals, to preach and bring more and more people on the path of devotional service. So we need certain some kind of competition, healthy competition maybe, so that the institution can grow and preaching can increase. So these things which you have told in today's class, like fall down because of puja, lama, pratishtha and all, but these have become essential part of our devotional life, because even our superiors, they expect us to do preaching, they expect us to contribute in the mission in a way that it can contribute to develop the institution. So how we can actually make sure, because when the people, or when I talk about myself, if I am getting stuck in devotional service because of this criteria to participate in competition, then how can I ensure that my bhakti should not get choked in this race? At the same time, I also want to support the institution in its goal, like preaching. Like preaching is of course my personal. It will. I feel, every devotee feels that when my name is announced means I am, that is what we say, that is for the encouragement of the devotee. So I'll get more encouraged and I'll do more service and my purpose will be pure. But it is also true, the purpose after some time becomes impure. So this is very confusing, very contradicting, how to ensure that we do bhakti, we do services, at the same time don't grow the weeds.
Yeah. So it's a very important thing, because practicing devotional service in institution can be helpful and can be also challenging, because the institution, as you said, requires hierarchy. Institution has to grow, and then there is hierarchy, and hierarchy gives an artificial air of post that I have become a temple president. Like, for example, one of my friend called me after a long time, and then I said, "Oh, Prabhuji, how are you?" I said, "Okay, nice." By this time, I think you would have definitely become temple president. I said, "Okay, I have become temple president. So whose temple president you are?" I said, "I have become president of the temple of my heart, and it is very, very dirty. It has to be cleaned like anything. So I am the temple president of the temple of my heart." So we have to understand there are levels of devotees. So in the beginning, for getting inspired and encouraged in book distribution, in the different services and all, because we are not at the stage of doing the bhakti, we may require this type of help of announcements of names, or we may compare, but we must understand that this is not the right way. This is for the beginners. Now, the class which we are attending today, Bhagavatam class, is not for beginners. We have to understand how to get out of this position of being a beginner in Krishna consciousness. I have to do book distribution, I have to do preaching, I have to do the services in ISKCON, but I should not do it to show to others, to compete with someone. If my superiors are telling distribute books, I will distribute. But if I think that I will only be successful only when I distribute this specific number of books to show to the others and prove to the others that how great I am, I will end up in the problem. I will lose the taste to chant Hare Krishna. And that was happened and is happening to so many devotees in ISKCON. We will lose the taste to chant Hare Krishna. So preaching is important, but the right consciousness in preaching is very, very important, because preaching is done by Madhyama Adhikari. And in ISKCON, we are trying to attempt even the Kanishta Adhikaris to get them engaged in preaching work. Here is the problem. When Madhyama Adhikari is preaching, then there is no question of discussions of all these things. But when a Kanistha goes out for preaching, and definitely in order to inspire, in order to expand the movement, we are sending each and every one based on the directions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jare dekho tare kaho Krishna upadesh, amar agya tar hoy, amar agya hoy, se hoy, Guru hoy, taro ei des. So that's what Lord Chaitanya says to Kurma Brahman in Kurma Kshetra in his South Indian tour, and based on that strength, we are actually making even a newcomer, Kanistha, to perform and practice these things. But the person at least should understand, who is engaging this Kanistha in preaching, he should understand that they don't get into all these traps of competitive mentality. And personally, over the years, I have seen that these competitive mentality creep on our system. And how it creeps on based on announcements. Oh, this person is doing this person is doing this, I must do this. And I must do this, why? To please Krishna, that has gone back in the background. I must do this because in order to show to the world and be announced that I am no less. So if that is the consciousness that I am doing devotional service to prove to the world that I am no less, then that lands up into problem. Hare Krishna. So that lands up into problem. So sometimes our authorities may be putting us with so much of targets, and we have to do this, we have to do that and all that. We do that. We take up the targets. But we must understand that I must have the right consciousness of doing these targets. Otherwise, my bhakti will get dried. I will not feel inspiration to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra very nicely. I will feel dry in bhakti. I should not be doing like this. Others, whatever they are doing in ISKCON, that is ISKCON, and that is what they are doing, and that is Krishna will be responsible. Whatever they are there, we are not responsible for everyone. I am responsible for myself. I am responsible for my consciousness. And as someone's guide, spiritual guide, I am responsible for the consciousness of my devotees whom I am guiding. That's it. We should not be worried so much about what is happening in ISKCON, whether that devotee who is doing book distribution is preaching with right consciousness, whether that spiritual master who is having thousands of followers is doing it with right consciousness or not. Who cares? We'll get mad. Whether I am doing whatever preaching I am doing for Srila Prabhupada and for the Guru Parampara, whether I am doing it with right consciousness or not. Whether I am, if I am the temple president or I am the manager, whether I am manager or temple president with the right consciousness or not. That should be our only motivations of doing anything. We should be concerned, we are definitely concerned what is happening in ISKCON, but we should not be overly concerned so much. We should be concerned about ourselves and practice bhakti. And if we create the right example, then others will get inspired. Because if I have the right example, the others have the right example, then people will get inspired. Who will not get inspired? And it is not that if there is competition, then only bhakti will happen. Competition is there. Even in Vrindavan Dham there is competition. But because we are coming so much from a society where competition is the major thing, so we bring on the ill effects of competition to devotional service also. And that is why we need to first purify our mentality of competition. And when the mentality of competition is first purified, by doing devotional service, not to compete, but to please. Not Krishna, at least someone else, maybe the Guru. And then this mentality of competition can be purified, and then we can do healthy competition. Directly from unhealthy competition in mundane world, if we try to do competition in spiritual circle, we will mostly 99% land up into doing unhealthy competition in spiritual circle only. You are understanding? Only a Madhyama Adhikari can do healthy competition. But if you expect a Kanishta Adhikari, put him in a situation that you put him in a situation of competition and you expect him to do healthy competition, this is too much. He will end up into spiritual problems. He will land up into spiritual disaster. So to expect healthy competition from a Kanishta Adhikari is not a proper expectation. Madhyam Adhikari can definitely do, Uttam Adhikari can definitely do, but we have to understand, if I am still a Kanishta, I am struggling with my mind and senses, then I have to be careful about competition. Very, very careful. Very, very careful. Very, very careful. Otherwise, I can be swayed away and I will not be able to chant Hare Krishna sincerely. So, and definitely competition is required. And as far as Srila Prabhupada's disciples are concerned, they were competing, but they were competing for a purpose to please Srila Prabhupada. And that made them actually a little special. And because Srila Prabhupada was personally existing in the planet that time, then it was easier. Now since Srila Prabhupada is not there, if we have someone whom we love like the disciples of Srila Prabhupada loved, like Srila Prabhupada, and they did competition, then it is fine. But if we do not have that, and we are in a Kanishta stage, we may get affected. We may get affected. Many of the Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they got affected. After Srila Prabhupada left, they left our movement. So definitely Srila Prabhupada will deliver them for what they did for Srila Prabhupada. But we can take that example. We have to take this example so that we have to be careful, right? So definitely we have to be careful about this mentality of competition. We have to be very, very careful, very, very careful. And that's why over so many years together in our preaching group, we have never announced any name of anyone. And all devotees are doing service. Who is not doing any service in Dasosmi family? Which name we announced? I don't remember anyone's name being announced for someone giving any donation. Practically no one even knows what, except Pavan Krishna Prabhu, no one even knows what donation who gives. We don't even announce what services someone does it, others are not doing services. They are so enthusiastic. I just told them that just a little bit of service for Kindle edition, and I am just seeing the group, there are 19-20 devotees, so enthusiastic, and they have taken one chapter, whatever it is. So devotees are enthusiastic and we don't announce anyone's name. I don't remember any time announcing Kushal Bihari Prabhu's name that he did this great things and this service. I don't remember. But others all are doing. You are doing service, others are doing service. Everyone is doing service. So why to rely on a material principle? When the spiritual principle is more powerful than material principle, we must have faith. We must have faith that the spiritual principle are more powerful than material principle. Now coming back to the example of Srila Prabhupada and his disciples. Srila Prabhupada was handling a different category of people. We are not handling categories of hippies. I am not handling hippies. If I would be handling hippies, I would maybe definitely do that. Because they are already so passionate in mode of ignorance. If someone is in mode of ignorance, you have to bring them to mode of passion. If someone is mode of passion, you have to bring them to mode of goodness. So Srila Prabhupada saw that these hippies are fully in ignorance. So I need to first bring, if I directly tell them to come to goodness, no competition, nothing, just be like this, they will sleep. So Srila Prabhupada brought them to mode of passion and used passion for practicing, used the passion in devotional service. But because Srila Prabhupada left, they didn't understand that passion is not the platform. The real platform is to come to goodness. And they also left. So the platform that they came was the platform of passion. Doing bhakti in passion. मैं दिखा दूंगा, ये कर लूंगा, इतना कर लिया, वो कर लिया, कर लिया, वो कर लिया. It's not the platform. Right platform is mode of goodness. There where we do everything not to serve others. But someone is in so much of ignorance, like the category of people Srila Prabhupada dealt, what he could have done. But if Srila Prabhupada would deal with people like all of you, who are all Indians, who are born in passion, not born in ignorance, or born in mixed passion of goodness and passion. Like most of the Indians are born in passion and goodness. Like even when I go and say to someone who is fully in ignorance, I first bring him to passion. Arey, do something for Krishna, what you are doing. So this is passion. But if someone already is in mixed passion of goodness and passion, mixed, then I would try to help him to come to goodness, because that is a stable platform to practice devotional service. So I hope that answered your question, that it is not necessary that there has to be a air of announcements and competitions to encourage others. Because I have practically seen in our Dasosmi family that devotees are enthusiastic to do service, and we don't announce any name. Rather, this is our fundamental guiding principle, that we don't announce anyone's name for whatever service. We are happy that they are doing service, and we help them to be happy that they are doing service. I hope you're happy.
But you are personally thanking everyone.
But that is different. That is different. That personally thanking, that I can do. And others also can thank personally for all the services what others are doing. That we will discuss in the next class about what. But no announcements, nothing. No feeling that I am great because I did this much. There is no feeling of I am great because I did this much. I am not great because I did this much. I am great because I have got association of devotees. That's it. Whether one is doing great, much, or whether one is doing less, or who cares? And that's how we see that because these things have happened. I was hearing a lecture by Her Grace Malati Devi Dasi and some other devotees, how they missed out taking care of the second generation in ISKCON, and none of the sons and daughters of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, sons and daughters, they are not devotees in ISKCON. And the reason is that the parents got so busy, taking so busy that they were so busy that they could not take care of the family. And then what happened? The next generation, we have no devotees. Rather, the next generation people have written theses against ISKCON about how ISKCON stole away our parents from us, stole away and snatched our childhood from us. So in this way, we have to understand that we do not have to think that everything we will only achieve in our generation. Sometimes our ISKCON devotees have this type of this air in their mind that everything I will do in my generation only, I will see everything. Keep something for the next generation also. Do whatever you can do. After peacefully chanting your rounds and Hare Krishna, whatever you can do, you do. And then the next generation will do something. And then the next generation will do something. If everything you will do only, then what the other person will do? He will think, अरे सब तो श्री निताई दास करके गया, अब मैं क्या करूं? मैं खाली बैठा रहता हूं अभी. Some things you do. So if we have this consciousness that everything I will do, then it will land us into problem. Okay? Hare Krishna. Sabyasachi Prabhu is telling that in a lighter side, I don't remember that when you thank me also personally. Yes. Krishna Bihari Prabhu is telling that I thank personally. I don't thank personally also. Service is done, be happy. I don't remember when I have thanked Udit Prabhu. Oh, thank you, I have said. No, nothing. I don't remember. Do you remember Udit Prabhu where I have nothing? Just you have done the service. I have done some service. I have done my service. Be happy with the service. I think Kushal Bihari Prabhu I have thanked a lot. I think I have to stop thanking him now. The devotees are becoming little jealous about why Kushal Bihari Prabhu is being thanked. But I don't remember anyone, personally calling and thanking. Just okay, service. We should be happy with the service. That's the service. But we should not be. Definitely, we are grateful. I am grateful to what services Sabyasachi Prabhu is doing, all the events he is doing, and grateful to what Kushal Bihari Prabhu, grateful to what Udit Prabhu is doing. But we should not be, if Prabhuji thanks me, then only I will do. We do the service for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. Yes, Udit Prabhu.
So we can take this question next time also.
Yes.
But this Prabhuji, just to give an example of Lal Babu, so he understood after so much contemplation that he had competitive mentality. So how we can understand weeds inside us? What are the different ways?
Yeah, so we will discuss this next class. So that we have kept one entire class for it. So because this is a very important section, very important section for seriously practicing devotees. Very important section. Rather, if we'll see that if next class is not sufficient, we may take one more class, which is very important section. Yes, Ankit Prabhu, last, or maybe we can take next class. I will hear the question. We will see if he can answer this time.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for telling that we have not come to Krishna consciousness to become great. Rather, we have come to Krishna consciousness to become an humble servant of Guru, Krishna, and Vaishnava. And as I understand, is often the most of the problems comes is because we forget this principle at our individual level or maybe in the organization. So that's why the most. And actually, I'm also not very clear about my question, but in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna tells that everyone should act according to their modes, the duties they should perform. And Srila Prabhupada also writes that we should do our duties as per the modes we are in. Then we should first understand what modes we are in. So we are conditioned, first thing. And second thing, this is Bhagavad Gita. And then there is pure devotion service. Now, when we read up and hear about pure devotion service, there is nowhere mention about modes. Like, it's the focus emphasis on reading, hearing, chanting. That is the main focus. But we are in this practical situation. Now, I'm a conditioned person, and now I'm trying to practice Krishna consciousness. I'm now in an organization, maybe. Not now, but like maybe. So now I need, in order to do some service, I maybe need something from the organization. So now there are management problems and everything, we understand that. So I have seen actually sometimes devotees leaving, maybe because the managerial aspect is not proper. The devotee wants to sincerely serve Guru Krishna and Vaishnavas, but again, because of our conditioning, because of something, then devotees leaving Krishna. Little unfortunate, but uh, this happens. So actually, I don't understand. I'm also not able to understand what my question is. But this is what means like it's a little bit confusion that I have. This, you understand? Maybe you could clarify.
Okay, so if I understand the question, that devotees are sincere, but then there is some management concerns because they are not pure devotees and they are still in the modes, and when the management concerns happens, it becomes difficult for them to continue, and then they leave Krishna consciousness, they leave the association of devotees. That's the question, because they are not pure devotees, they are still in the modes and they need the help of the organization to do something, and then the organization doesn't support, the management doesn't support, like that.
Yes, so the question is something like this, but actually I'm not saying that management is the problem. The problem
is management is definitely not the problem. The problem is management can be a problem, because if management is also not managed by pure devotees, management is also managed by the devotees who is facing problem. He is in modes and the management is also in modes. So management can be also a problem. Then what to do? So that is why a very deep personal relationship with some superior in Krishna consciousness is very essential. We don't really focus on this. We don't really focus on this. The relationship with at least one superior in our Krishna consciousness had to be very, very deep. And based on the strength of that superior, whether there are management problems, whether there are my family problems, whether my health problems, whether my mental problems, I can easily conquer all the problems because I love this person. And he's there as a shelter to me. So if we do not have a personal shelter, deep personal shelter, who is a living shelter, you may say, oh, Prabhupada is there. Prabhupada is there, then why we are against so much about Ritvikism? Prabhupada is definitely there. We are not denying. We are reading of Prabhupada. We are glorifying Prabhupada every day. We are doing Guru Puja of Prabhupada. But we need a living person, and we need a deep personal feeling of shelter from that living person. Then only it is possible. Otherwise, it's not possible at all to tolerate the turmoils. Arjuna could tolerate the turmoils he was facing because of his deep personal attachment to Krishna. Yes? Have you ever thought about it? The way Arjuna was facing the problems and turmoils, and it was a management problem. Completely managerial problem, material problem. It is not some spiritual problem Arjuna was facing. It's a completely material problem, managerial problem, administrative problem, where he was not getting justice, where Pandavas were not being just. So Arjuna was facing a tough managerial problem. But how he could overcome it? Because of his deep personal shelter. He was not, oh Krishna, where are you? He was taking personal shelter of Krishna. Personally, he was interacting. So in the course of our life, if we really need to tolerate these upheavals, managerial upheavals, family upheavals, we need to identify at least one person with whom we can have deep personal relationships. And that deep personal relationship with one superior in our life, that feeling of shelter. Oh, I am not Anath, I am Sanath. That is the only way to get rid of all these problems, whether in ISKCON, whether in our family life, whether in whatever life. We should have that feeling from within. Okay, whatever problems are there, who cares? I have my Guru, I have this person, I have Krishna, I have everything. But if I do not have that deep relationship with at least one person, if it is good if we have deep relationship with 1 or 2, 3, 4 persons, like Ramanujacharya, he had such deep relationship with so many gurus. But at least one, the principle in which the guru-disciple relationship happens in ISKCON creates this type of problem. The disciple, if he's really not feeling that shelter from the Guru, it's very difficult to go ahead in Krishna consciousness. Rather, for the disciple, the Guru or that person, he may be Diksha Guru, he may be Siksha Guru, or he may be a superior, that person is a prime mover, the prime mover in his bhakti. So, we are lacking shelter. When we lack shelter, we leave Krishna consciousness. People don't leave Krishna consciousness. Yesterday I was telling the people to someone that people don't leave Krishna consciousness because there are some managerial problems. People don't leave Krishna consciousness, some emotional, this problem, that problem. I was telling someone that about Brahmachari ashram. I was telling that people don't leave Brahmachari ashram for want of woman or sex life or all these things. Nothing. These are so insignificant. People leave because they don't find shelter, or they don't think that finding a shelter is important. They just think, oh, if I'm doing some book distribution, I'm doing some external things and I'm getting recognized, whether I am having a shelter or not, who cares? I'm being recognized, I'm doing service, I'm doing something for Prabhupada, and it's done. You may be doing for Prabhupada and you only know whom you are doing, and Prabhupada knows for whom you are doing. But if we really don't identify one shelter and really not endeavor, because even if we identify a shelter, we need to endeavor and invest in that relationship. Every relationship requires an endeavor to invest. Nothing happens like that. Like we have got married with a new person, our wife or husband, we need to invest that time in order to develop that close bonding and deep relationships. So if we do not think it is important to invest from our side voluntarily in the relationship with at least one person who is my superior and develop that deep relationship, then we will land up definitely into serious spiritual problems. So we need that. And unfortunately, as Ansuman Prabhu was telling yesterday, and I was shocked, that this is what people think, that now Prabhuji will give time to new people. But it is important that new people are new people. They require less time. And old people require more time. If new people requires a monthly meeting of 15 minutes and old people will require a monthly meeting of 1 hour and 15 minutes. Because we need to endeavor to develop, because it's an investment. Nothing happens without. You are so many devotees who have seen in ISKCON, maybe Kushal Bihari Prabhu, or you have seen so much of ISKCON, who does so much of, who creates so much of proper organized endeavor for doing some monthly meeting or something. No one. But this is a facility to help others to develop a personal relationship. For me to develop, for others to develop. And that is very required, because that investment every month will help one person to tolerate the upheavals in life. But if you have not invested when the right things are going on in life, then we will not be able to tolerate the upheavals. We need to find out the shelter in our life, in our Krishna consciousness. Where I am deriving shelter from? Who is the person who can give me shelter? Because the Jivatma by nature, it seeks shelter. And when he gets shelter, he feels satisfied. Whether there is managerial problem, physical problem, mental problem. Like today morning, it was paining so much, my stomach was paining so hard. And then Sakshat Gauranga came and said, Ki Prabhuji, I think if someone else would have been there in your position, then he would just, if I would have been there, then I would have gone to the hospital, get admitted and get all the, everything cut, my intestine cut and put some other intestine, something, but I would have not stayed like this, what you are staying. But then I was thinking that what makes me staying is because of the shelter of the Guru and Vaishnavas and all of you. So we need to find the shelter. At least one. If more, then it's very good, but at least one. At least one. And a personal shelter. Not that, oh, he's there. I have just made the photograph. And it's not like personal, deep shelter. We'll elaborately speak about it next class. Not on exactly this theme, but about shelter. Actually, shelter is the only way to get out of this Tarangarangini. Tarangarangini is the shelter of material pleasure. So we need to find the shelter of spiritual pleasure and happiness. And that's how we will discuss. We will start our next class like this, and we will discuss elaborately about the pleasure of spiritual shelter. Right now we have no experience of what is spiritual shelter. And that is why we are so much thinking that only when I get some material shelter, material happiness, then only I'll be happy. But when we experience spiritual shelter, we can tell anything to any material shelter, happiness or misery. But for us to experience that spiritual shelter, we need to endeavor, we need to invest. Nothing happens by chance. Nothing happens by chance. We need to endeavor. There are processes of endeavoring we will discuss next class. But we need to endeavor. We need to invest. I saw in last 34 years before my of marriage of my father and mother, 34 years, how strong attachment they had developed, my father and mother, as a husband and wife. Why? Because my father was deriving so much shelter from my mother, and my mother was deriving so much shelter from my father. Why? Because they invested. So, spiritual life is about definitely relationships. We need to invest to find that shelter. Okay. Yes.
Please excuse me. Thank you so much. Actually, yes, the question is mine is very much answered. So now in this next thing, I understand there are like two aspects. So one thing is that we have to take shelter and also we have to give shelter.
Yes.
So both things has to be there.
Yes.
And in case of taking shelter, yes, we take shelter, no problem. But again, little bit means like it is not very serious issue, but for me it is like sometimes it takes seriously that our material nature, our physical nature, or a mental nature, sometimes become a sort of a barrier, or maybe like it constrains a little bit because of that. Because shelter is Krishna consciousness, but I have this mental inclination, and maybe some certain way that I have emotionally because of my whatever samskaras and whatever. So I can feel connection with some certain superior devotee, but not that much with other devotee. So this how since how importantly this should be a criteria material, the mental adjustments and things. I hope
that can be a criteria. Our mental material nature can be a criteria to find out a superior, but that should not be the only criteria. That can be one of the criteria to find out some superior. Like for example, I may give an example. If someone doesn't know English, and his guru knows only English, then it's not a good selection of guru. Even if the guru is very potent and the disciple is very interested, oh, he'll be my guru, but because there is so much of language barrier, the communication of instructions and advices and transmission of information and transformation will not happen effectively. Because a pure devotee doesn't need a guru. He has a guru. In spiritual world, we all have our gurus and we have our authorities where we do services and all. But basically, we take a guru for our. So it's a material barrier, correct? But it is required. It is required. One should be intelligent in choosing who will be my spiritual master. In Bhaktya Loka, in Bhakti Vinod Thakur gives specific directions, material directions about choosing the spiritual master. Because if one is very intelligent, he chooses a guru who is very, very simple, then it will land up into problem. Sometimes it lands up into problem. He is so intelligent and he starts guiding his guru. So if one is intelligent, he should choose a very intelligent guru. And it's a very, very material thing which Bhakti Vinod Thakur says. But in the same way, if one is a Brahmana, at that time Brahmana Kshatriya was very, very strong things and all. Then, and if one is very, very materially stooped, then he should better choose a Brahmana guru so that his mind is peaceful. Otherwise, he feels superior than his guru in material terms, because Guru is not above Brahmana Kshatriya, Guru is above intelligence, material intelligence. But he is not. So these material things are definitely one of the criteria, but it is not only criteria. Our criteria is that I practice Krishna consciousness, I get guidance about practice from Krishna consciousness from this person. And as we develop more and more deep attachment with the person, those material criteria vanish. In the beginning, we have so much of criteria before marriage, right? Ye hona chahiye, wo hona chahiye, hona chahiye. Once marriage, now I have to live with this person. And now we try to reconcile. So we try to reconcile. So, and similarly, we do a spiritual reconciliation. Okay, my guru is not so intelligent, but he is my guru. He is giving me spiritual things. So let me take those spiritual things. And if I have some intellectual doubts which my guru is not able to answer, let me take help of some other Vaishnava and get them answered. But just because that Vaishnava is able to answer my intellectual questions and my guru is a simple is not able to answer, that doesn't mean that this person becomes my guru. This person who is a simple, whom I have considered my guru, still remains the guru, because just like my wife is not able to get some needs done, and when I'm in hospital, the nurse is dealing with me and getting things done. Do I consider the nurse as my wife? Sorry to give a very, very crude example. Because there is relationship with the wife and there's no relationship with the nurse. I get it's a very, very crude, raw example which I am giving. But just to make the point clear, that when the relationship is established, okay, I may need a nurse, but that doesn't mean that the nurse replaces my wife. Right? So similarly, when I have a deep relationship with Guru, then these material things don't matter. If I need some material help or something, I'll find out someone else, but still he remains my Guru. Just because the wife is not able to facilitate like a nurse, she is not trained, that doesn't mean that she is not my wife. She is my wife. I love her so much. But what can be done? She doesn't have, so find out someone who can help me a little bit in nursing me. Right? So that relationship, and this has happened. This has happened. The people have left their wives and married to the nurses. And because they had no relationship with the wives. And then they had problems with the nurses. What problems they had with their wives? They had problems with the nurses. And then they find out some another nurse. Because they never considered wife as wife. They also always considered wife as a maid and nurse. Right? So then they'll always have problem. So similarly, we should never consider Guru as a satisfier of our material things. Then someone else will satisfy, and then we'll make him as Guru, and then we'll have problems with him. Sorry to give a very, very crude example. But sometimes examples actually give us a very deep impact. Really can understand the subject matter.
So lastly, if it's possible, maybe I'm taking too much of your time. So next question is like, how we can be now we have to give also shelter. This is material, this is situation. So what can we do to ensure that we can actually give a shelter which is the so juniors they feel like shelter. How to ensure that?
So this is a subject matter of our preaching training session maybe. So we will discuss that on those sessions, how to become a very good shelter giver. Okay. Hare Krishna. Sorry, it became really late. So we will discuss about shelter elaborately next class, because this is how we can go ahead of Taranga Rangini. If we experience spiritual shelter, then we'll be able to get out of this Taranga Rangini. Okay? And not just Taranga Rangini, the next two stages of Anartha Nibritti and Nistha. Nistha means what? Sheltered. Yes, this is meaning of Nistha, sheltered. Koi hila nahi sakta, I am sheltered. So that is Nistha. So going from Taranga Rangini, the plateau of Anartha Nibritti, to the Nistha is what is shelter. How to experience shelter, to reach to Nistha. Okay, Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Vancha kalpataruvasya Vipa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Vaishnav Thakur ki Jai.